Is that really truly the best way to take what Paul wrote in letters and apply it so black and white in our life?
I love all the letters that Paul wrote, but he's not the truth.
So, in your opinion, why is there such a struggle to see big healings? For example, cancer, ALS, mental disorders, other incurable diseases in our day and age?
Listen, I want you to hear me right now. I believe the biggest problem that we're dealing with, it's the destruction of unbelief. We are living in the time of such a information.
There's so much information.
So much
yeah.
information, and we have access to the internet, and we spend so much time observing and watching and looking everything in internet. We're feeding our mindset with so much information, and all that information carries unbelief seed, unbelief DNA. So that's why people don't have time to remain in the Word of God. See, if you want to operate in the strong faith, you need to shut it down, all the voices around you.
You gotta shut out. Yep.
Yeah, you need to stay focused what God says in His Word. You need to feed yourself with the Word of God. You need to have that mindset, renewed mind.
Yeah.
The biggest problem, we are distracted with everything around us, and we don't have time to remain in the Word.
You know, I keep always remembering Vlad Savchuk's story about when they first started their services, and they, started praying for healing, and they would pray for salvations, and yet nothing happened. And I remember he shared this at one of the Kingdom domains where he spoke, and he said, what we started to do is we would put YouTube videos on our screen of healings taking place worldwide. And this is what we would feed our church on a regular basis in order to build up the faith, to build up divine faith that God can do it.
Yes.
And because like
we
you were
really
saying,
need to focus what God is doing now,
Yeah.
rather than be distracted with the things
that He's not.
where He's not.
Yeah.
So we need to intentionally fit ourselves with so many testimonies of
Yes.
people
Yeah.
that received healings in cancer and deliverance. So we really need to focus on what God is doing now rather than He's not.
And it's so interesting because it's so easy to see what isn't happening because it's so readily available. You just open and you scroll, and problems and news, etc., are so readily available. But it takes so much intentionality to go after seeing the testimonies, to go after seeing what God is doing. And I think what you said is so on point, where it's the distraction. You're distracted by the thing that's easy versus fighting for the thing that's right.
For our Christians, the biggest enemy is the distraction, not the Satan.
Yeah.
Satan is
He's powerless.
He's defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can overcome his, all the attacks that comes from him. But the biggest distraction, the biggest enemy for us as a Christians is the distraction.
Yeah, because it takes us away from seeing the reality of God as a reality in our real life. So a follow-up question. Somebody submitted this, and they said, Paul wrote to specific churches, most of which he planted, or to individuals for their context, meaning who they were, where they were. Does it make sense to focus so much on them as some churches do? And for example, Paul, he wrote that he had a thorn in his flesh, something that he asked God to remove, and it wasn't taken away, and so he suffered with it. And some churches have taken that and have built a theology on it, saying that God sends sicknesses or God sends those things in your life, and it's just your cross to bear. Is that really truly the best way to take what Paul wrote in letters and apply it so black and white in our life?
I believe with all of my heart that in the New Testament, we need to understand that the truth, the grace and truth came through Jesus Christ, and the Word became flesh.
Yes.
He is the true light. It means that everything in the Bible, we need to see through the words of Jesus, because Jesus revealed Father Himself, the nature of Father. I love all the letters that Paul wrote, but he's not the truth.
Yeah, he's
the
not
truth
Jesus.
came through Jesus. I love the book of James. I love the book of Judah. I love, all the books in the Bible. But we need to see all those books through the words of Jesus Christ.
That's the only way to apply them.
That's the only way we apply. We need to study the words of Jesus. Jesus spoke to the Pharisees, and He said, if you will remain in my words, you will be the true my you will
Be my disciples.
be my disciples.
Yeah.
And you will know the truth.
Yeah.
So I believe everything what the Paul wrote, but we need to understand the time that he was writing those letters.
Yeah.
And we need to see all the letters through the words of Jesus, because Jesus revealed the nature of Father
Yeah.
on this earth. He's the model of the nature of Father. My name is Andrey Shapoval, and every week I will be teaching you, and I will help you as I continue to grow in Him to understand the whole plan of God concerning your life. So I want you to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I want you to enjoy this channel. It's gonna bless your life.